All right. And we are back. So, as promised, what we're going to do is we're going to kick off things right off at 105 my time. At least I think it is 105. Yep, double checking my clocks. So, Mr. Crawford, thank you. So, this is a little video here from my friend and colleague, Mr. Mark Simon. And again, I am going to be playing this all the way through. All right. So this is about an hour long, but it's some really good information. So here's Mark with what is that? I started to say seven deadly, but it's seven pitch fails. Hey, this is Tony Ross for the 2D Animation Virtual Summit, and I am hanging out with probably my number one, probably my number one animator crush, or in the animation business or biz of art anyway. Mr. Mark Simon, my friend, my colleague, confidant, has helped me out more than I know. So, fellow, what is it? Fellow Deadpool fans.
Oh, yeah.
So, dude, what's going on? Mr. Mark Simon, Godfather of Storyboarding. Welcome.
Good to see you, Tony. Yeah, fresh back from Italy. Had a great time out there working on location. One thing I like about, because I go back and forth between animation and live action. And live action, I get to go out on location at times. So that was fun.
Man. And I think getting to go anywhere on location in these in the new normal is, I guess, would be extremely exciting. So
I hadn't traveled in 4 years. In fact, I hadn't been on a set in 4 years, or with other crew people in 4 years, and jet setting across the ocean. It was great. I loved it.
Cool. Now, I think this is going to seem weird, but it's like, if no one knows who the hell Mark is, Mark, who are you and why are you here?
I, depending on who you ask, I'm kind of known in different ways. The main reason I'm known is because of storyboarding. I'm known as the Godfather of storyboarding. Worked on over 6,000 productions over the years. Been about 35 years doing it. Feature film, TV, commercials, music videos, you name it. I helped develop the Storyboard Pro software. I wrote the main industry Bible. It's in like 7 languages called Storyboards, Motion, and Art. I produced all the courses on LinkedIn Learning. I was part of the Emmy-winning team on the development of Storyboard Pro. I started as an art director because my first movie, I became the art director over at Roger Corman's studio within 2 weeks. I also, around the big conferences for pitching and selling TV and movie, I'm known as a pitch master. I was co-founder of a company called Sell Your TV Concept Now, and we help people how to develop, package, and pitch their concepts. And then we would train people and take people to the major conferences around the world and introduce them to industry executives, show them what to do. And 100% of our clients who listened to what we did met with industry executives, every one of them. So it works. I've done it. I've landed around 36 deals of my own original concepts. So I've done it a lot. I've pitched in every different kind of way you can think of. People paying attention, people not paying attention, where it's so loud you can't hear, people falling asleep during a pitch, you name it. So it's fun. So when you said you were doing this again, I thought, well, we've been talking about storyboarding and we've been talking about animation previous years. There's a lot of really creative people that join you and attend your summit. I thought, well, let's talk about pitching and help people get past a lot of the things I've seen over the years where they they work against themselves. It's just a lot of major fails in pitching. And in just a few minutes here, I think we can really help a lot of people.
I would love that because I know at least 5 that I can think of right off the top of my head. They're like, I'm going to do this. And I'm going, I don't know if you should. So I'm thinking like somebody I know has told me to not do that. So yes, I'm excited about this. So what do you got for us?
All right. Well, I've got 7 pitch fails that we can talk about today. And I figure we'll just kind of go through slowly one by one, and I'll hit some of the highlights. If you have any questions about it, we can discuss in depth this. And I figured the first one is something that people have a false idea on what they need in order to pitch. Okay. Everyone knows that you need to have a great idea. You need to be passionate about it. But what I've heard for so many years is that I can't get out to pitch because I can't get an agent. I can't find an agent. Pitch fail number 1 is thinking that you need an agent to pitch. There's a couple of reasons here. 1, agents don't pitch. That's a falsehood. I don't know where people came up with that idea. That's not an agent's job. And even if they did, you wouldn't want them to. Sorry, let's talk this through. And again, I've been doing this a long, long time, and I'm actually one of the opening speakers at a number of the major events like NATB and Banff World Media Festival, things like that. An agent's job is to take someone who is already successful and has a name and get them more work for a percentage. They make introductions. They're not pitch masters. So they can help make an introduction and they can get you in through a door, but you don't need them to get through the door. Okay. I've had agents. I only had one that ever did anything for me, but none of them ever pitched anything for me. That's your job as the creator. See, in a pitch, you are half of your pitch. Your knowledge, your connections, and your passion for your project. No one but the creator has any of that. When someone says yes, or that they want to take it to their team and they do what's called pitching it up. They pitch it up the ladder to the next person above them. All right. They do that because they're impressed with you and know that you can take this idea and have a voice behind it that no one else has. Now, if someone else is pitching it for you, you've lost half of the value of your pitch. So you need to be the one to pitch. Like I said, I've been helping people with how to get in front of industry execs without an agent. It's easy, but there's a couple of tricks on what to do. Biggest thing is go to where the executives are, and that's the big conferences. You're not going to walk into their office if you're a nobody or if no one's heard of you yet. But you walk up to anyone at a conference, say, hey, got a minute? And it might sound like I'm being flippant, but I have done this hundreds of times, and it literally is that easy when everyone is in the same location for the same reason. You're either there to buy or to sell. Okay. If you find a buyer, they're looking for sellers. Match made in heaven. It really does work. I was with a bunch of clients at one conference, and I think this is this is at MIPCOM in Cannes, France. It's film and TV and animation and anything people are buying and selling. And there was a guard at the Fox booth, and it wasn't really even a booth; it was a whole aisle. And I introduced myself. Of course, the person I was talking to had no idea who I was, but I knew what to say. And within 5 minutes, we had a sit down, my entire group, with the president of Fox TV.
Wow.
Because we were there. Look, you're looked at as a player by investing in yourself and being where the other players are. It's different than if you call someone and go, can I get Mr. Jones, please, on the phone? I think I might have an idea. they're going to put you, well, you need to sign a submission release form, or you need to do this. You need to get an agent to bring it into us. That term or that phrase, we don't take unsolicited submissions, or you need an agent to get in, is a way for them to filter through people who don't know what they're doing.
Ooh, okay.
Not a single one of my clients has needed an agent to get in front of industry executives. They've landed agents because they've become successful, but you need to become successful on your own first, because they only make money off of you making money. They're not going to break a new career.
Okay.
So that's fail number one. Questions, thoughts? What do you think? Did I just blow your mind?
Yeah, because I know I could, like I said, out of those people that I know a couple of people who like done the whole little, I'm just gonna reach out to this studio, I'm gonna reach out to this place, and it's like, I'm going, I don't know if you do that. So it's like, yeah, that's.
And
yeah,
look, it is possible. I mean, I've gotten in, but at this point, I've been around the block so many years that I know what to say. And I've got enough credits. If anyone looks up my name, it's pretty easy to find out that I'm a player in the industry. But the easiest thing is just know where to go and have a couple opening lines that work 100% of the time.
Coolness.
All right, so let's move on to fail number 2. So I had mentioned that sometimes you might hear, well, you need to sign a submission release form. Okay, this is industry standard. No matter where you are, at some point in the pitch process, you're going to be asked to sign a submission release form.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if you've ever read one. In basic layman's terms, it says that you understand that we might have a project that we've either seen, have in development, or are in production that is similar or identical to yours, and you can't sue us if you see something identical to your idea.
Wow. Okay.
And you're going to sign that contract, because you can't sell your show without signing that. But there's a reason you're going to sign that. I don't work with people unless they sign that exact thing. Why? Because people have identical ideas.
Okay.
It's what you bring to it, your connections, your passion, your knowledge, your insider status, that separates your identical idea from someone else's identical idea. Now, a lot of people listening to this are already getting mad at me, thinking, how do you know? My idea, no one else in the world has ever come up with my idea. Well, from having run a company that helps people pitch, I've seen hundreds of identical ideas. If I've seen it, the studios who get 10,000 pitches a year see it all the time. So they have to protect themselves, thus the submission release form. Now, where an agent or an entertainment attorney comes in is they can get you past that gatekeeper, because if you are seasoned enough to have an agent or enough money to hire an attorney, the studios know that you already understand that your idea is probably not completely original. Now, the way you do your idea could be completely original. There could be 5 sitcoms of the same idea, but only one script is going to be worth a damn, because it's the script that's going to sell it, right? Your pitch gets their idea. The script sells it when you're talking about any kind of scripted show. So you're going to sign that submission release form. Now, I've seen people say, well, I would never sign something that gives them the authority to steal my idea.
Right.
Okay, then find another industry to work in.
Okay.
Because you'll never sell anything you won't work. I mean, it's really freaking simple. There was one week in particular, and it was funny. Jeannie, my wife and partner in the business, Jeannie and I we were about to host one of our 3-day summits. We don't do it anymore, but we did it for a number of years, called the Hitmaker Summit. It's a 3-day event. We took people from concept all the way through to how to pitch. And as we were reviewing people, because we limited to just 30 people or so that came, so we were reviewing all the different properties that people were sending to us, see who we would accept into the program. And 3 of them were were 8 to 12-year-old animated properties that had I'm trying to remember the specific details, a lead character of a blue Brazilian parrot with a green lizard as a best friend. 3 of them in the same week. Now, the way the concepts were done were all totally different. But that's pretty damn close. And if we're seeing that, the studios are. I was interviewing, when I put together our TV pitch kit, which I'll talk about at the end, I interviewed a number of industry executives. And I remember I was talking to one exec from Nickelodeon Animation. And I asked him, what are the projects that you get all the time? It's the same project over and over and over. What's the identical ideas? And he goes, oh, that's simple. He said, there's 2 of them that we get all the time. One was dust bunnies.
Okay.
I said, you're kidding. He goes, nope. Every week we get pitches about dust bunnies. An animated show about dust bunnies. This is why you're going to sign a submission release form. He said the other one was shows about condiments. So what do you mean about condiments? He goes, well, one day we'll get 1 or 2 pitches about ketchup and mustard. It's a boy and girl, ketchup and mustard, salt and pepper, whatever other kind of condiments you can think of, relish and gravy, whatever. They get the same things all the time. And everyone thinks that they're the first brilliant person to come up with that idea. Ketchup and mustard. Yeah, that's a hero and a villain. Absolutely. Of course they're going to hate each other. You can never mix them up. However they're going to approach it, they think they're the only ones. And yet they'll get 50 or 60 pitches a year of the same idea. Now, every once in a while, I'll have a client who will say, that's okay. I can protect myself. I'm going to have them sign a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA, before I pitch. Okay. Find another industry, because no executive will ever sign that. You instantly look like an amateur. And if you work with me, I won't allow you to ask that, because you'll make me look bad.
Okay.
You don't do it. And if you insist on doing it, work with someone else, because I'm not going to let someone else make me look like an amateur. I thought you were training these people what to do. Right?
Yeah.
They're not going to sign an NDA. You have nothing. You have a concept, but chances are, look, very few people have been able to sell shows. It's possible. There's more possibilities now than any other time in history. So a lot of people are doing it. But there's millions of people who are trying, and most of them don't know these very tricks I'm sharing with you guys. These little things are the difference between getting your foot in the door and possibly selling and having the door slammed in your face. I mean, it's that big of a difference. They're the ones with the money and the distribution. So you have to sign the submission release form. Now, and another example, because again, a lot of people right now are thinking, no, not me, not mine. I'm different. Okay, right. I get it. We're all creatives. You have to have an ego. You have to have an ego about yourself, that yours is the greatest. That's your passion. That's great. But there's also reality. So keep the passion, but listen to the reality. So I was asking a buddy of mine, Mark Zicree, who was a writer-producer on one of the Star Trek series. I don't remember which one, probably a couple of them. He's also known as Mr. Sci-Fi. You can find him online. And I asked him, Mark, how many episodes of Star Trek are sued because someone else thinks that was their idea that was stolen? He goes, oh, every single episode. I said, what? He said, yeah, every single episode. Everyone thinks that they're the only ones that came up with a certain idea, and that they either sent it to someone or somehow someone found their script and that we stole it. And there's a dozen or more lawsuits on every single episode of Star Trek. He goes, we don't take other people's ideas. If someone submits a script that we really like, or we like the idea, we license it, or we buy an option, or whatever, however they need to do it on that show. That we don't want to get sued. No one does. But we could have 4 lawsuits and they all have the same idea. And they all think they're the only ones that came up with that idea.
Wow.
And this is why the studios are so protective in making everyone sign a submission release form, because they're tired of getting sued all the time. I get that. That's why I don't want to be sued. And I make everyone who I consult with also sign a submission release. And I make sure they understand. There's a good chance I have seen or will see in the future someone with an idea similar or identical to yours. And like I said, I have. I've been approached by someone else. My wife created a show called The Wubbies. It's a preschool show. It's when she and I were working at Nickelodeon. And we produced an animatic, color animatic of it. And we started pitching it around, and we got some press on it. And I got this call from a guy in Canada, John Makarenko. I answered the phone. Hello, it's Mark. Mark, my name is John Makarenko. Hey, John. Good to hear from you. What can I do for you? Well, Mark, we have a problem. Oh, no, really? Well, what is that? You see, Mark, I've created a show called The Wubbies. It's interesting, John. My wife and I have a show called Wubbies. Yes, I saw the article, Mark. But you see, I have the trademark on that title and that idea. Oh, okay. Prove it. So while we were on the call, he emails me the paperwork that he has the trademark of it. I look it up and confirm. Yep, he does. Well, I said, okay, I'll change the name on ours. He said, what? I went, you have the trademark. I can't use the term Wubbies. I'll change it. I said, that's it? I went, dude, you have the trademark, of course. I thought I'd have to sue you. I don't want to be sued. And we ended up working together. He hired me as a consultant. He was so impressed with how I handled everything. So I ended up working on his idea, which I thought was absolutely hysterical. But here's the thing. Both ideas were about colorful, fuzzy, otherworldly characters who had their hearts on the outside and they bounced instead of walked. Now, he's in Canada. My wife and I were in Florida at the time. We had never seen each other's ideas. Same name. It happens. You just have to understand it happens. There's something in the ethers that people connect to. Some news things, something happens. There's a viral video that inspires similar ideas around the world. You just have to understand this is going to happen. Understanding that, and just sign that damn submission release form so you have the opportunity to sell your idea. Just stop worrying about it. If your idea and your pitch is that good, they're going to work with you. They're not going to take it and give it to somebody else. Because like I said, half of the pitch is you. If your pitch and the way you approach your idea is that good, you're the one they're looking to work with. Give yourself that opportunity. Sign that damn form.
Okay.
God, I feel like I'm a preacher on the pulpit.
Cue the organ.
I'm the pitch preacher. Hallelujah. All right. So what do you think? You going to sign the submission release form if you're asked to now, Tony?
Yes. And quite frankly, if I would have seen that, I would have been like, I don't know, man. This is how you get ripped off. So yeah, thank you for explaining that. Because
look, a thief doesn't give a shit about a contract. If someone's going to try to steal your stuff, they're going to steal your stuff. If you're working with studios and big studios and networks, you're going to sign it. And it's because they're protecting themselves. And you want that because once they start working with you, you don't want to be sued by someone else who comes up with a similar idea. See, that's the other thing. With my clients, they're also protected. They can't be sued by somebody because everyone who we work with all have to sign the same thing.
Okay.
So it's not only a protection for the studio, it's protection for everyone they start to work with too. I got you thinking.
Yeah, you do.
All right. You ready to move on to fail number 3?
Yes.
Fail number 3, and that is failing to pay attention to everyone in the room, not just the person you think is the executive. Because you might not be right. And it can be really insulting, especially if the top person is a woman and you're only pitching to the man. This industry, it's men and women. Executives, producers, executive producers, directors, it's men and women. Don't make an assumption. Talk to everyone there. You should anyway, in any setting. But I have seen people, I think that this man is the top person, so I'm going to pitch them, ignoring the person who actually makes the decision. So pay attention to everybody. But here's the other thing. Even going into the meeting, pay attention to and be nice to everyone you meet. When you get in the elevator, you don't know who you're in the elevator with. When you walk up and you're talking to the assistant because you're about to go in and pitch, and the assistant might tell you, well, they're in a meeting, don't get pissy at the assistant. That is the gatekeeper that can keep you from getting in. It's also the person that is going to tell their boss if you're a jerk or not. And they will. I remember I was pitching at Deke Animation, at DIC. They merged with someone else, but they were huge in the 90s, in the early aughts, doing Strawberry Shortcake and just 100 different big properties. They're based there in Burbank, and I show up about 5-10 minutes early, and there's underground parking there. They had this really kind of wedge-shaped plot of land as when one of the big major roads splits, and so there wasn't upstairs parking. You go down underneath the building, and I'm walking in. I've got my bag on one shoulder, and I see a woman carrying a box in. I held the door open for her, and just, hey, nice day, thank you very much. And we go up the elevator. She goes off one direction. I walk over and I sign in and say it'll be about 5 minutes. So I sit down and I wait, and they call me, and I walk into the conference room. There's one person sitting in there. I'll walk in, we sit, we do our little greetings, and then the top executive walks in to join our meeting. It was that woman I held the door for in the parking garage.
Nice.
Instantly, we were connecting. She was like, "Oh, he's a very nice person, very thoughtful. Didn't know who I was. Still held the door open for me. I was just being a human." But it really helped going in. So just, think through. Just try not to be a jerk. And it's not that a lot of people are, but, a lot of people are.
Yes.
But people will notice. So don't think that you only put the smiles on when you get into the room, because you never know who you're talking to or who's going to talk to them. So, so address everybody, make eye contact when you're pitching to the different people. Generally, there's not going to be more than 2 or 3 people that you're pitching to. Very seldom will there be more than 3. I've only ever had, I think, even 3 people more than 3 or 4 times in a pitch. And I've pitched a lot. I mean, my record is 35 pitches in one day at a conference. Wow. And that's a lot. I mean, most people, when they go out, they're lucky to get a couple pitches in a week when they go to New York or LA. That's, again, another reason to go to a conference. It's so much cheaper. Yeah, you have to pay travel, but you're paying it to get to LA anyway. But, you have to pay to get into the conference. Okay. But if I'm going to land on the low end 40 pitches over the 3 days, and I always get more than that, the cost per pitch is so low compared to just flying out to New York or LA and trying to get into someone's office.
Right.
Cost per pitch is a tenth. I actually ran the numbers. If you're good at getting into someone's office, it's about $400 per pitch when you're traveling and going out.
Okay.
If you go to a conference, and even if you're paying $2,500 to get into a conference, and you're landing, I don't remember what my numbers were, like 15 or 20 pitches. If you're able to, the cost is $40 per pitch, 1/10 the cost by being in the right place. So pay that extra money. It costs you less money.
Okay.
It's a good investment in yourself. So don't make assumptions on who you should be pitching to. And even if it's not the top person that is interested in your idea, let's say you've got the president of a network and you've got a junior executive in the pitch meeting.
Mhm.
If that junior executive connects to it, they could take it on as one of their pet projects and talk other people into it.
Okay.
So you don't always have to sell the top person. You just need to sell a person on it who can take you under their wing. All right. So that's fail number 3. We good?
Yes.
All right. Fail number 4. That's when people wear a suit to a pitch meeting.
Okay.
Why would you wear a suit to a pitch meeting?
I wouldn't wear a suit anytime, but anyway.
Tony, I don't own a tie.
Okay.
I literally don't own one. I go to black tie events. I just don't wear a black tie. I know how to dress and look sharp. You might not know that by the cartoons I usually wear, but I have the ability. All right, so here's the deal. And there's some psychology here, but again, I've been in the industry so long. When you walk onto a set, the woman with the craziest fucking hair is the hairstylist. The woman with the most garish makeup is probably the makeup artist. I mean, it sounds crazy. My wife and I joke about this all the time. But, after 36 years in the industry, it's amazing how often this is true. Okay. So that said, you can look around and see who the suits are. There's a reason we call them suits, because they're always wearing suits. And then there's the creatives, the director, the writer. They're dressed differently. They're dressed creative. They're dressed free-flowing, expressive. They're being themselves. When you walk into a room, you want everyone to know who the creative is, because that's who they want to work with.
Okay.
When you're at a conference, you don't want every other person like you who's trying to pitch to come up and try to pitch to you. Not why you're there.
Okay.
You want to pitch to the suits, right? So you're going to walk up to people wearing suits. You're going to look at their tag, which often will say the position or who they work with, right?
Mhm.
First thing, I'm looking down. I'm looking at your chest because I want to see, are you a person I'm going to pitch to? There's one exception where you would wear a suit, and that's if you're pitching a show that you appear in and your character on that show would wear a suit.
Okay.
You want them to look at you and see the show. Now, if you are pitching a show about a guy in a big bunny costume, don't wear a big damn bunny costume walking around. That's too distracting. But if you are the lead character and that lead character wears yellow shirts with red polka dots, I would say wear that yellow shirt with polka dots on it when you go to pitch. You want them to see the show.
Okay.
And you want them to see you as a creative. Now, that doesn't mean walk in with shirts and pants with stains all over them. That doesn't mean walking in and having curse words all over your shirt. No, you don't want to be offensive. You don't want them to think you're a slob. You can look nice and still look creative.
Okay.
So wearing a suit doesn't do anything but make them think that maybe you work in a bank all day, and how creative is that? Look, you want to make the right first impression, and that is that you're creative. No one has ever accused me of not looking creative. You've seen the pants I usually wear. You've seen the shirts I often wear.
Yes.
Not by accident. Right? So, all right. So you good? You're not going to wear a suit when you go to pitch, Tony?
I am not going to wear a suit. I'm going to probably up what I would wear, because I'm just normally just kind of shirt and jeans, but I probably go, okay, how do I appear a little more?
Yeah, get a pair of really expensive, nice jeans, cool shirt, Tonyize it,
Okay.
be Tony.
I love it.
All right. Hey, we're a little over halfway through our fails. We good? We good on time right now?
We're good. Yes.
All right. Sweet. Pitch fail number 5. This is a hard one to break. So you've spent time and money perfecting your idea. You've put together the most amazing one sheet. You've got a pitch package, your treatment that you have just bled over. You're so excited. When you meet that executive and you literally just throw it at them. You want them to have it because I've done so much work. I want you to have all this stuff I've created. You've just failed. Why? Tony, if I handed you something, what would you do?
I'm not sure.
You'd probably look at it.
Yes.
What did I tell you is 50% of the pitch?
Is you.
Right. So if you're looking at what I handed you, you're not looking at me. I just lost half of my pitch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Where are you going with this?
You're getting it. You're getting it. Okay.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying you don't need those things, but here's the deal. When you're pitching, the pitching is to gain and garner interest. And you want them to not only be interested in your idea, but in you. So I'm pitching and I'm holding on to my stuff. If I've got a character design that I want them to see, I hold it up. All right. This character, I put it down and I continue to pitch. And this character, and I put it down and I continue to pitch. They're looking at me. They're seeing my inflections, the character I'm acting out, my passion, my knowledge. We're connecting. We're one-on-one, Tony. You and I, we're working on this together, right?
Right.
That's a great pitch. Now, I'll get through it. I asked the number one question you always have to remember. Here's a little extra bonus for everyone. So what do you think? You have to ask.
Right.
Because if you don't know what your follow-up is. And you don't know if you need to shut the hell up. So what do you think? Now I can hand over. So would you like to have some of these materials to remind you and of what the show is and some more details? Then you can hand it over. I'm done with the pitch. Everything now is follow-up. It's response. It's them being able to pitch up. It's them to look more into it if they're interested. But during the pitch, you and me, Tony, looking you straight in the eye, the only way to do that is I don't hand you something to take the focus off me during the main part of the pitch.
Wow. Okay, that's I wouldn't even think that. That's it's like, thank you for saving me on that one, because I would have been like, here's this thing.
Yeah, you want to give it to people. You have spent time and money and blood on this. Bide your time. You'll have the opportunity to give it to them. Let's make this connection first. Let this half of the pitch come across that, of course, I'm the one to do this idea you've already heard 50 times. What makes mine different? Me. My connections, my knowledge. When I say connections, sometimes that's because I'm best friends with LeBron. I'm not. Or it could be it's a race car show and I've been a professional race car driver for 10 years. Connection could be anything that draws you in and gives you insider knowledge, right?
Right.
Well, that's going to come across when we're connecting in a good pitch. We're having a conversation, a passionate one. But I'm not just spewing facts at you. We need to be connecting. And you don't connect if someone going like this. the whole time. You know what else that does? Tony, if we were doing this and I'm doing this the whole time, how energized could you be talking to me right now?
Not that much. I mean, like, dude, what?
No.
Yeah.
But now, yeah, we're drawing each other in, man. We're bros. Allow that to happen. Don't give them something that's going to take the focus off you.
Sweet.
All right. So we're looking good?
Looking definitely good, yes.
All right. I'm going to get you on this one.
Probably.
Pitch fail number 6. Go ahead and produce that full pilot. Go ahead. I dare you. Yeah. Spend months and hundreds of thousands of dollars on something no one's ever going to watch. Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. Now, why do I think they're not going to watch it? Because I know what kind of schedule executives have. They don't have an hour. They probably don't watch all of their own shows. I don't have time to watch all the shows I work on.
Okay.
But I've got 2 or 3 minutes where I can watch something that's going to give me the idea. You could do a sizzle reel. Now, certain kind of shows you do a sizzle reel, certain kind of shows you don't.
Okay.
If it's a scripted drama or scripted comedy, don't shoot anything because you can't hire the right actors. Okay. Now, if it's your own troupe and you're the perfect people, yeah, you could. But just remember, whatever you show them, if it's supposed to be a finished piece, needs to be as good or better than what is on the air. Can you afford to? If not, don't do that. See, a scripted show, you know what sells as a great scripted show?
The script?
Yep.
Okay.
Spend that time and money making that script better. Rather than hiring a DP for a week and shooting a bunch of stuff and hiring a bunch of SAG actors to make sure that the acting is as great as possible, hire a script doctor and make that script better.
All right.
Let someone else pay for that pilot. Okay.
Let me ask you this, if I may.
Yeah.
So, because on the animation side of that, what do you say?
We're going to get to that in a sec, but go ahead. What's your question?
Okay. What do you say about the people like, I know what studio I want to go ahead and make the pilot, and that's how I'm going to pitch this. I'm going to show them this thing, you know.
Great. Pitch it to them. Maybe they'll do it.
Okay.
It's still a pitch, whether you're going to an independent studio or a major network. Pitch is the same. But what is your pitch? What are you bringing into them? I would not. All right. So most people here are animators, and I've pitched and sold animations. I'm not bringing in a pilot, a finished piece of animation. That costs money and time. Much less can I afford to. You know, a full half-hour animated pilot costs over $1 million. I'm not putting that into a pitch. But I'll create a really great animatic. It's 2 to 3 minutes long. Gives you an idea of our lead characters and what kind of humor there is in the show. They're going to have time to watch that. An executive's not going to watch 22, 23, 24 minutes. They're not going to.
Okay.
But everyone in animation looks at storyboards. Storyboards are good. Not as good as an animatic, which is a video storyboard with audio. That's got the pacing. That's where you laugh or you cringe or get excited about the action, right?
Right.
Create an animatic. Here's the thing. Don't do a color animatic. And this comes from experience that stabbed me in the heart, Tony. All right. So I mentioned the Wubbies earlier.
Yes.
So that was my first big pitch. And this was back in the 90s. And Jeannie and I went to a conference called NATPE, NATPE, the National Association of Television Programming Executives, right? At the time, it was like 25,000 people. I think it's 5,000 or 6,000 a year that go now. But it was giant in its heyday. And I was so excited to show off the Wubbies. And Jeannie had written this really great little short I still knew not to do a full pilot, but because we'd been working at Nickelodeon at the time, but we decided to, well, let's make this animatic really nice. Let's do it in full color.
Right.
Still a video storyboard, but full color. And here's the response I got, Tony. Tony, they told me, that quality is not good enough. That animation is not good enough to put on the air. No, this is an animatic. This is not the finished animation. The animation is going to be better. Sorry, it's just not good enough. A color animatic looks like crappy animation.
Okay.
Black and white storyboards and animatic looks like production storyboards. We don't do color when we're doing storyboards. So don't go beyond what the industry is used to seeing. Do great motion, but keep it as a storyboard.
Okay.
And I could not see, you can't upsell quality. You can't show somebody something that's crappy and say, but it's going to be better when I do it with you. No, it's going to be as good as what you're showing me.
Right.
A storyboard can be rough and loose because that's what storyboards usually are. You add color to it, that's finished product. I remember I was at another conference and there was another studio there. It was an independent studio, Lincoln something. I can't remember the name of the studio. They do great stuff. But they had a booth, which never do. You want to have control over when and where you meet with people.
Okay.
Don't wait for them to come to you. But they had a booth. I walked up to it and I was looking at the sizzle reel that they had going. It was a color animatic. I said, I just introduced myself to him. I said, yeah, you're having to explain that that's an animatic and not crappy animation, aren't you? And they looked at me like, how did you know that? Yeah, I said, I made this mistake. But we spent all this money on this booth. Yeah. You have a black and white version you could put up there? Because you're not going to get anywhere with this color piece. They have been running into the same damn thing.
Wow.
So, don't produce something no one has time to watch. Don't spend money on the wrong things. And if you're going to put something together, the reality shows are totally different, but this is animation, so we don't need to get into that. For animation, have great character designs, great writing, and you can pitch with short animatic. Don't go beyond that. Don't add color. I just saved you so much money, man, and everyone listening.
You did. And I've been, because you've told me this before. So I've been telling everyone, and one of my former students, and I'm not going to call her by name, but you know who you are because you're listening. But they're constantly going, yeah. But I'll just do a Kickstarter and I'll raise the money to get the pilot made. I'm going, but you don't need to. You could just do how's the animatic going? Do that. Yeah.
Use some of that money. If you feel you need more, you feel you don't have enough, hire someone to work with you on development, character design, sound for your animatic so it really sings. Maybe better writing. Maybe you're not the right artist for it.
Right.
I hire other artists. I don't have to
Yes.
be the best at everything. So, yeah. I've had people, I had a client come up to me one time and he showed me a piece and I said, you can't show this in your pitch. And I said, first of all, development's all wrong. I said, but the quality is not here. This doesn't work. So start over or reduce down. He goes, but I spent $150,000. I have to show this. Well, no, you spent $150,000, but the pitch ends the moment someone starts to look at this. You can't show this.
Right.
Put the wrong money in the wrong place. Someone had talked him into it. His development was half-assed at best. Jumped in too early. It's the other thing. A lot of people jump in and try to do too much too early without really working through. Is it ready yet? And most ideas aren't. That's why we had so many clients coming to us when we were running our consultancy. They realize I'm not getting anywhere. And then as soon as we started working with them, we knew. Once we looked at it, it's like, okay, here's the direction to go. Or here's some things to think about. And we would push them creative. We had a lot of tricks on how to get in there and help them find the nugget
Right.
of what works in their idea. And sometimes it was like, yeah, this idea isn't going to fly. Every once in a while you just have to tell someone, you're creative, find something else. This idea is not good enough. They're paying me to be honest. I'm not doing you any justice if I'm sending you out there to pitch something I sure as hell know will never sell.
Okay.
All right. So that's number 6. We have one left, Tony. You got it. You got it. You got it in you.
Yeah, I do.
For the final one. The biggest pitch fail is when you try to memorize your pitch. And Tony, people want to memorize their pitch because they're nervous.
Right.
I'm going to freeze up. When you freeze up when you try to memorize something and you forget a word. And you go, God, can I start over? No.
No. Oh, man.
No. This is not take 2. This is live. As soon as I freeze, I don't know my idea. I'm not passionate about my idea. This, all these negative connotations come out and you freeze up and you go, you don't want to do that. Look, if you've got a great idea and you love your idea, talk about your idea. Every pitch I do is different. The way I get into it is different. Depends on how the conversation is going with the person I'm talking to. It depends on the questions they have. Yeah, see, if you memorize and someone asks you a question in the middle of it, you get totally lost.
Right.
But if it's conversation, it just flows. So look, what's your favorite show, Tony? What's something you just freaking love and you want to tell the world about?
Star Trek Lower Decks.
Okay, Star Trek Lower Decks. Love that show. Love the humor in it. You've talked to people about it to try to talk them into watching it?
Yes.
Did you memorize what you were going to say, Tony?
No, not at all.
But you were passionate about it and you could talk about it, right?
Yes.
You damn well did better do that with your same idea, with your idea, what you're pitching. If you're passionate, just talk about it. You should know your characters. They'll say, well, give me an idea of a storyline. Oh, okay. I love this idea. So these characters go in and do this. And I told you about so-and-so. Well, then this happens, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to memorize that. And it's going to come out different every time I say it. But it stays the same?
The energy.
Passion and knowledge.
Okay.
Don't pitch or don't memorize. Memorizing never works. There's never a single time when memorizing works. You're double thinking yourself. You're not there. You're inside your head a lot rather than connecting with the person in front of you. And if you can't openly talk about it with passion, it's not ready to pitch. Ooh. Pretty simple. Your body is telling you that it's not good enough or you don't know it well enough yet. Give yourself time. Coming up with an idea over a weekend is not going to be enough to pitch a solid show. Takes time to develop. Sit back, write something, go back, revise, write a script on it. And you go back and you learned a lot from writing the script. So now you're going to go back and you're going to revise your development. You're going to come up with more ideas. And you look at the script, go, oh, wow, there's holes or this doesn't flow. Or, I've added this to the character. Let me go rewrite the script. Allow that. That also builds knowledge in your own head, ideas, passion. You're into it. Now I can talk about it. I'm not just spewing things at you like a robot. Again, half of the pitch is you, your knowledge, your passion for the project. If you're passionate, you don't need to memorize it. You just know it. Don't worry about saying the same thing over and over. You better not say the same thing over and over. I know when I'm out at a conference, first time I'm pitching an idea, I don't want to go, let's say Nickelodeon is the place I want, right? They're the 800-pound gorilla.
Right.
I'm not going to do my first pitch to Nickelodeon. I want to get my feet wet because I get nervous when I go into pitch.
Right.
If you care about things, you're going to be nervous. That's okay. I'm going to go to someone I don't care about. and try to pitch it first. And you learn things. You learn what people are reacting to. So the next person I pitch to, now I'm going to adjust it. Oh, that character didn't sing, or that idea didn't make them laugh. Let me try this one. Oh, that made them laugh. Okay. Oh, that felt like they were getting a little bored. I went on a little long on that. So let me shorten that up, and I'll adjust and I'll change. By the end of the day, what was taking me 5 minutes, I'm doing in 37 seconds now. I'm saying different, and I'm getting a better reaction.
Right.
If I had memorized, it doesn't allow me growth and to work the room to see what they're paying attention. If someone says, oh, all right, so tell me about this character. I don't care what's hitting them. If something's hitting them, I'm focusing there. I'm moving on. Doesn't matter what I was hoping to say. Okay, you have interest in this. Or someone says, I don't know about that dog character. When I say dog, I mean cat. Okay, to that point. All right, so here's a great pitch story to help wrap us up. So, Hanna-Barbera, Bill Hanna, Joe Barbera. Joe was the pitch master. I mean, he sold as many as 7 shows in one season. I mean, this guy knew how to pitch. And he was out at one of the networks, and he was pitching his idea of this crazy bunch of kids who drove around in a van with their giant talking cat to solve crimes. And the executive looked at him and said, no one likes cats. I couldn't do a show about cats. And he goes, oh, did I say cat? No, I meant dog. So I've got this giant talking dog. And he sold Scooby-Doo. So, read the room. Nothing is precious.
Right.
Just ideas until it gets produced. And the ultimate goal is to get produced. And I'm not saying just roll over. If your idea is the better idea, have a good enough pitch to prove it. But do it by being positive, not by being antagonistic. As soon as you say, no, that's a stupid idea. Listen to me. I've got the right idea. Well, your pitch is over. They're not going to want to work with you. I get that, but look, this is how we're doing it. Same thing. I'm going to try to talk them into my version, but notice the difference in energy.
Yes.
No, you're stupid. Versus, okay, but look, this is how we're going to do it, and this is why it works.
Love that.
Improv training. Never say no. It's always yes and, right?
Right.
I don't know if you've ever heard that, but that's the rule of improv. Yes and. When you're working improv with somebody and they come up with something, you have to work with them. So, okay, I accept that idea, and I'm going to add on to it. As soon as you put a block, everything is over, the energy drains out. Well, you don't want the energy drain out of your pitch. So don't say no. Say yes and. Read the room. Bring people in. Sign that submission release form, because you don't need an agent to get in. Make sure that you're saying yes and to everybody that you're talking to, because you're not wearing a suit and you're not handing them those materials until after the main part of your pitch is over. You get through that pretty easily because you didn't memorize anything, and it's short because you didn't produce a full pilot. Right, Tony?
Right.
Yeah, I brought that all together, and we're home, man. We got a winning pitch here.
Loving it. Man, I think my favorite one, and I'm trying to go back to how many interviews, not even a pitch, but how many interviews did I do the thing of, here's this thing that I've worked on versus here's me. That is.
It always starts with you. Always. Nice. Now, the work needs to stand on its own. But, a lot of places have, and it's what we all call it, the no asshole rule. You're going to spend a lot of time with whoever you work with, and you want to enjoy it. So, be nice, be creative, be fun, be passionate, have the right materials, not too much, and understand how the industry works.
Okay.
And you're golden, man. You're golden.
Coolness.
So, one thing I wanted to mention before we go. So, I talked about all this. I'm not doing active consulting because I'm so busy in production.
Right.
But I do have a do-it-yourself kit to help people with how to pitch, where to go, what the materials they need, how to develop a better idea, how to develop better characters. All of that is in there. And the cost of the whole thing is less than 1 hour of consulting with me. And it's got like 60 hours of videos, and there's sample treatments. There's fill in the blank treatments, Tony. Literally, you just go through and you fill in the blank.
Oh, wow.
And it's called the DIY TV Pitch Kit. So it's online, everything's streaming. One-time purchase. It's only $200. If you're not willing to invest $200 to get your pitch, to sell your idea, how passionate are you really about selling your idea?
Okay.
So tvpitchkit.com. Everything I've learned over the years is in there, plus interviews with other people who've sold their ideas. I mean, it's a huge amount of stuff. Everything that we think you need to develop, package, and pitch your idea, right here, Tony. tvpitchkit.com.
Love it.
How do you like this lower third, Tony?
I love the lower third.
Make sure my chin is above. There we go. Anyway, I hope all this helps, Tony. I hope you got a lot out of it.
I did. There is some stuff. Like I said, we've talked about pitching before, but it's like there's a lot. I would say 60% of what you said. I'm like, okay, I didn't know that part. Okay.
Well, there's a lot to it. That's why this package is. In fact, we used to sell it when we did on CDs and DVDs and print. It was like $600. And but so much better now being digital, and we can offer so much more on it. So it's great. But yeah, there's a lot to it. And there's a lot of failure and expensive and time consuming failure along the way. I mean, if you go through everything that we put together, it'll knock 5 years off of what it took me before I started doing decent at it and getting offers. And 5 years of trying, there's a lot of expense there. So if you know the right stuff going in, it can make everything easier.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Dude, that is 5 kinds of awesome. And again, thank you so much. You were always bringing some gold, and this was definitely it. I'm like, we were talking about this, like, you want me to talk about pitching? I'm like, I thought you never asked. Thank you so much. It's like, man, that now I have homework. So love it, but it's good homework.
Awesome. Get out there and do it, man.
Will do. All right, this has been Tony Ross for the 2D Animation Virtual Summit with my good friend and colleague, Mr. Mark Simon, godfather of storyboarding. And what are we calling? Are we calling you the
Pitch Master?
Pitch Master. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Mark, thanks so much. Say bye.
Bye, everyone.
Alrighty. So, running a little bit over, so I'm going to dive directly in to Layron DeJarnette. It's thanks for the ships, Mark. Yes, yeah, Mark is awesome. Let's see. Can I choose a file? Hey, this is Tony Ross for the 2D Animation Virtual Summit, and I am hanging out with my friend, colleague, and confidant, kind of animation buddy, and someone who I aspire to be one day when I grow up, Mr. Layron DeJarnette. Did I do the name right this time?
Yeah, you got it right. Layron,
okay, cool.
Aaron with the nail, and DeJarnette.
Okay. I was messing with Layron earlier because the way his name is spelled, like Layron DeJarnette. It's like,
yeah, I was saying that's my that could be my alter ego artistic.
Oh yeah, yes.
Yeah, like we were saying, like with Steve Urkel, Stefan
Urkel, yes.
Yeah,
gotta have that. What's going on, man? So for the people who don't know who you are, I think this is what your don't want to say have you been here since year one? So we're in for our fourth year. So
Yeah, this is my fourth time. I think
okay.
yeah I did. I think I did four. I know
Yeah.
I did at least yeah. Well, I'd say at least three. So this is four. Yeah.
Dude, man, much love, much appreciated. And so tell all the childrens who you is and why is you here.
My name's Layron, and I am I do animation, but I do character design, illustration, direct animation, and I just love art. I started off as an illustrator with a passion for animation, and then eventually, I slowly got into animation from the illustration side, but I still do both animation and illustration. So that's kind of a brief background.
Loving that. And are you still hanging out with the mouse?
Yeah, still at Disney, working on the new season of the Proud Family. So I'm still there, doing character design of that show.
Cool, cool, cool. So I want to hit you up with a couple of questions. I got some pretty juicy ones this time, and the first one, I'm laughing at it because, and I mentioned this to you earlier. I said I'm laughing because you're wearing green, and I'll explain. Um, the first question is a little quantum leap question, if you will. If you could travel to any point in the timeline of animation history on a 1-year visa, you lose no rights or privileges that you currently have. Where and when do you go? Now, what does the green have to do with? There was an episode of Justice League, and they went back in time, and I can't remember the kid. Man, what's the guy's name who does Phil Lamar, who does the voice of Green Lantern? They're back in the Western times, and Phil Lamar goes, "Did I mention how much I hate time travel?" I'm going like, and I thought about that when I'm writing this, going like, I got to mention that to like, it's like you show up wearing green. I'm like, this is perfect. So yeah, that's why I had to write in there like, no, you don't lose any rights or privileges. You just, in an alternate universe where everything is cool back in the day, you're there. Where would you go?
Oh man, well, it's kind of like it's a back and forth because that was the first thing that came on my mind. It's like, okay, well, going back in time possibly is not really a good thing, but like part of me will want to learn from like some of the great animators, like I said, the Nine Old Man and those guys
Yeah.
that worked at Warner Brothers, Tex Avery and Bob Klein, all the ones that all the animators kind of glean from.
Right.
But then another part of me is kind of like I wouldn't want to, if I had a time machine, I would want to go back to my young self just getting out of college with all that passion and desire to get out in the workforce and do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's almost like if it wasn't like Back to the Future when you see your younger self and
right.
the whole freaking multiverse explodes. If I can see my younger self, I will grab my young self and bring him to this time. show them all the technology that it is. Like, no, you don't have to go to Kinko's. You don't have to pay for none of that stuff. You don't have to pay an editor $500 an hour to do an edit, and you don't have to go and develop film anymore and pay all this money for portfolios and then get your work out there. This is what you can do. It's like boom. I would teach my younger self like the computer software, show them YouTube and all these streaming services, show them Kickstarter, show them like all this stuff that like you don't need all these people anymore to get your work out there, get your animation done. And I would start with that young person and say, look, by the time you get to be my age, these are all the projects that I put on the shelf because I thought I had to have all these other things to get it done. And now that it's, easier to get it out there, now I'm kind of stressed out because it's like, man, which one can I do first? Which one can I do? And now I'm working at a company and it's like, how can I juggle the time to get that work done and get this work done? It's like, no, here you go. Get it out right now when you have that fire and passion and can stay up and work all those hours and not have to, have old man back pains and knee pains. mean, it's kind of like that's pretty much how I would probably approach it.
Okay.
It's like the older me will want to get the knowledge, but then it's like, well, I would tell the younger me to get the future knowledge and then use that passion and zeal and drive from, that, just getting out of college. Because I remember I was ready. It's like I had some friends who were like, oh, I need to take a break. And man, all these years working, doing it. It's like, no, I didn't even want to take a break. I was just like, I was ready. It's like, oh, now I don't have to worry about school. I can like focus on doing this type of work. And
Right.
that's what I would tell that younger guy to like, yeah, you can do it. You don't need anybody to get this work done.
There was the old series Amazing Stories, and there's one of the shorts, Gather Ye Acorns. I think, and I'm trying to remember, was Mark Hamill in this or not? But this little weird creature told them, said, "Hey, you need to go. Don't spend money on school. Get this car. Get this hot rod." And yeah, don't throw away these comics. Don't throw it, and just save this and save this. And it ended up like his family put him out. He kind of drove off in his car and got all his comic books and stuff like that. And it shows him years later, this old man, beard and everything, still like living out in the middle of nowhere. And goes into he barely gets his car towed to the gas station, pulls out this little stein and is trying to count out pennies. And this woman said, I'm sorry, is that a so-and-so stein? He said, yeah, it is. Would you consider parting with it? And he said, sure. It's like, is 20 okay? Like, yeah, I can get me some gas. And, okay, stay right there. I'll be right back with the cashier's check for $20,000. He's like, wait, what? I'm saying all that to say, like, yeah, imagine going back and telling yourself, okay, I need you to buy this kind of paper because it's archival. Now, keep saving it up. Don't worry about shooting it right now. Yeah. But in about this amount of time, you're going to be able to shoot all this on your phone. On my what? Yeah. Calm down.
No, it is. It's like I think about like all, sometimes I'll get emails or like private messages from young artists, and and I get it. Each person has their like. My parents would probably be like, "Oh man, your struggles, we had it harder than you guys." But
yeah.
I'll have some young artists talk about their struggles and things they're going through, and I'll tell them, "Hey, you know what? The fact that you're able to post online and possibly have someone to see your stuff, it's like in order." If back when I had to do it, I had to first, scan in, or actually I didn't even scan them in. We had to like either go to a copier place and have like the huge copier scan
Right.
Kinkos, or you had to get them professionally photographed, which like the one I went to, anything over 8.5 by 11 was $75 to $99 just for them to shoot the photograph and then scan that in or go to a high quality printer, which
Right.
it's like all the money that you would spend. Like the cheapest route was to just go to Kinko's and make sure that all your artwork was at a certain size so that it fit on the copier and print it out that way. But then even then color copies were like $250 for 8.5 by 11 and
Yes.
$450 for 11 by 17. And you figure you had a whole portfolio of 30 pieces, 30 or more. And then, it was always cost a lot of money because you had your main portfolio, then you had the portfolio that you sent out to all the studios just for them to keep it on file or whatever. So
Right.
the fact that it's a lot easier, and if you market your social media a certain way where you post your great artwork, and get people and follow in social network, things happen. So I look at it as a blessing. I look at it as, hey, look at technology. I don't look at it as, oh man, these guys have it easier. I'll tell them that it's a lot easier, but still, the drive and the focus is still the same. It's a lot easier, but that drive, that focus, that not allowing no and closed doors to stop you. It's all still the same drive, but different ways of doing it now.
Liking that. It's like and I'm sitting here thinking about my late great mentor Lou Hertz. What would he have thought when we were coming along with Kinko's, like, Kinko's? What the hell is a Kinko? I was like, no, man. It's like, and then his grandparents like, no, you had to break out, you had to do the letterpress.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like how crazy is it? There's always a thing. And I was telling someone recently, when I was teaching college, I had my students, I said, I'd brought in this Super Friends coloring book.
Excuse me.
Bless you. And I told them to, scan it in, but you're going to make it a painting using Photoshop, and got to use, I wanted it to be in the Caravaggio style. And one of my students said to me, Tony, what color is Superman's belt? I don't know. Use the internet. Why are you asking me this? It's like you're sitting on a computer asking me that question, connected to the internet. Why are you? Look that up. I was like, you don't even know what you have. What is this name? Ralph Bakshi. Like, do you even know what the computer can do? Why? Why are you thinking?
That reminds me, and it's kind of going off a little topic, but it reminds me, I was working on this one illustration. It was like one of the first big time illustrations I got for an advertising agency. And it was an illustration of Bill. Why am I having a brain fart? But the guy who slept with everybody and bragged about it, the black bad NBA player.
Yes. And I can't remember his name either. Oh man.
I'm getting a brain fart. But whatever, it was like it was a poster to honor him. Wilt Chamberlain. I'm sorry, Wilt Chamberlain.
Okay.
Not Bill, I was saying Bill, but Wilt Chamberlain. And it was a big, like a huge, they wanted it to be like Drew Struzan style. And they wanted it to be all this cool stuff, but then they wanted to have like all these young pictures. Like they wanted like, oh man, all these young pictures of Wilt Chamberlain to be on it. And I can remember we spent like almost a month just trying to find a real young picture of him. We went to like all these libraries. I remember because I was working with the advertising agency, they had like this one library that took them to the back, and we were looking at microfilm, trying to find some cool reference pictures of like Wilt Chamberlain. And like occasionally when I'm online searching for reference, that vivid image of me being in a library looking at some freaking microfilm.
Right.
Because that's where they actually found the young picture that they were kind of happy with was from the microfilm. And then they took the microfilm and they somehow the library was able to like print me out a Xerox copy of it, and it was all grainy. But it's like, wow, I had to do all of that just to find one young, find pictures of Wilt Chamberlain.
Versus now,
it's like, and you can find possibly many young photos and possibly accurate pictures that you really need. It's like that one was like, oh, here's one, use this, and it's like make it work somehow because we don't have any other. Because they didn't want me to make up a young image. They wanted it to be like a realistic illustration of them without, But yeah, it was technology and time, and how things are easier,
We had I went to an art college, and I remember taking our art history test. You have to go to the library. We'd check out the slides that we knew the test was going to be on, and then you kind of sketch it or kind of print those out, and it was just kind of crazy. And me and a couple of my colleagues, actually my wife and I both ended up later teaching at the college. And now the internet's there, and we saw some of the kids getting ready for a test and watched them go online, pull the image down and write out their little notes in like Google Docs and stuff and print out, and that was kind of like and it was like, I was like back in my day.
Yeah.
we had
back in my day, man, we had to put on hiking boots and
pretty much
20 feet of snow with a huge portfolio just to get one copy.
We had one CD burner in the whole department, not a lot. And I remember when Cintiqs were first coming out, and I'm a professor in this little tiny art college with no budget, going, can we get one of these?
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Like, here's some new mice. I'm like, damn it.
Uh, yeah, I love it. I love, it's, hey, it's for me, it's one of those things I appreciate it. It's like, I look at it, it's like, man, when you kind of know where you came from and what was back in the
Yes.
day and what's now, I have more of an appreciation for it. And that's why I said, I would take when I said the time, going back in time, it's like, no, I'll take that kid and bring him here. It's like, hey, here you go. Look at all this stuff. And it's still evolving. It's still more things. Like you said, you do things on your phone. And I just saw something yesterday, and I saw some of these clips before, but I didn't know what it was. But this person posted I was on LinkedIn looking at some of the things people were posting, and this one guy posted a whole animation that was done. It was like an AI
Hmm.
animation. And I
Yes.
know, some people have their, thoughts about AI technology. I think if it's used right, because I don't like it when like there was this one artist, an article that said something about the artist, the AI technology was so cool, so good at replicating this one artist that a lot of the requests that people were making from this one artist, the AI will reproduce something and it looked as if that artist did it. And the guy was like,
Right.
hey,
Yeah,
this
that's
is
not
where
cool.
it's going too far because, now it's kind of like copyright infringement because they have to use elements of that artist's particular work in order to recreate the AI. But that AI animation was really, it looked more like experimental animation, but
Right.
depending on what you're trying to do, like I look at like a lot of editorial pieces and a lot of things that kind of like you want your animation to kind of emote a certain feeling or a certain metaphorically represent something. And I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. And I'm thinking about I would use that. Like my mind went to say, what if I drew like I did like a pencil drawing of the animation and then applied that AI
Yes.
layering on top of it. So it's not like I'm like telling it to do everything. No, it's just I want it. It's like I do an animation of someone angry and I'll implement it in and then type up anger images. And then all those images that represent anger are on top of, or I do something say joyful and do like an animation of someone doing something joyful and then put the AI layer on top of like joyful images and just kind of see what would that look like,
I
or
think I was mentioning this to someone else about talking about AI. I think AI, like anything else, is a tool. And I was mentioning the idea that, for instance, on Apple computers, you have a free music software, GarageBand. Now, I play music a little. I don't read. I can make a jam here and there. Now, I can do some stuff with it. But let's say if we had the late great Prince take GarageBand, what he does with it versus what I do with it are going to be two different things. And I look at AI the same way that we kept looking at every time Photoshop kind of added in more stuff, and I was like, "Oh, you're making it easy." And at the time, it's not politically correct to say secretaries, but I said, "You're making it easy for secretaries to take our jobs." We studied all this. Why are you labeling stuff? We had to learn all these different things, even like I said, to learn it without layers. So, why
right.
are you making it easy for everybody? Start it up, and then I look at um, some of the people that come out here. Yeah, yeah, I know Adobe. I'm sure you do. What are you doing? Okay, that's nice. Excuse me. Let me knock this out real quick. Like, this is what you meant to do. It's like, so I look at AI and that's because I think there are going to be those little cheats as it were, and then there are going to be some people like you said. You see, like, damn, okay, I see what you did there, and it's like, it's really really pushing it. There's a guy who did. He was doing paintings and drawings using Microsoft Excel. And I mean, it looks really good. And you're going, dude, why are you using Excel? That's all I had. But it's like, and just knocked it out. So it's like, I think if you look at it as a tool, it's going to be interesting. But I think AI in general, like the art and the, even in voiceover, because that's coming up a lot in some of the circles I hang out with.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that whole
it's getting
uh
interesting.
the Lucasfilm, man, what is it called? I keep forgetting the name of it, but they had like with James Earl Jones and now
Mhm.
Bruce Willis sold his voice. No, Bruce Willis sold his image likeness.
Oh
I
wow.
think, or maybe he might have done both, but possibly, I think maybe his image, but yeah, but I definitely know that James Earl Jones, gave his voice to Lucasfilm.
Yeah, I think a lot of the things that they made that were quote unquote sci-fi in the 80s, we're now experiencing that where, like when they keep saying, "Oh, we found this hidden track or this whole album that so and so made," and I'm going, "Did they? Was it really them?" It's just little weird stuff like that. Okay, before I get too far, let me ask you the next question.
I know we kind of.
No, and we do. It's cool. We good. It's like, and that's what I love about the people I hang with. Almost always, it's not going to be. It's not usually going to be like a short session, but that's what it's for. All right, 30, 30, 15. 30 minutes a day for 30 days is 15 hours. What could you do, start, or finish in 15 hours? Now, if you did a animation themed 30, 30, 15 for the month of November, what would it be and why?
See, that one's a hard one just because I know that the stuff that I want to work on, that wouldn't work. The time would be, I would need more time.
But yeah, you can at least start it. That's the thing.
Okay.
What could you start? Like, what is that? What could you start? Kind of dive into or even finish.
Okay. Well, definitely it will be a start, not a finish. I will have to start on, my own personal projects that I keep putting on the shelf. Those would be something that I would start on. With 30, 30, 15, or is it 30, 15, 30?
30, 30, 15. 30 minutes a day for 30 days.
And then the other thing, like I said, if it was something that I was trying to finish, I see like there are like these animations that I follow on Instagram and on there's one animated series on Instagram, bunch of them, and then a lot of them on TikTok. And I would do what they do. It's like they take something real short and just like it's like they make animations to fit within the time limit of like TikTok, and it's just I will say it's like anything, it's like I always say they take little things and make cool animations out of it. Like one, it's like this girl and this woman and her cat. And it's like all her animations are like, and it reminds me of like comic strips. And I think she does do it as a comic strip and then translate it to animation where it's like, the cat, she's watching TV and the cat wants the attention and the cat just jumps up and gets her attention. And it's all done within like very short something. I could see, I could see me getting something like that thing, something like that done really in a short period of time. And then there's other ones that take like sound bites. They'll take like a clip or something from a movie or an interview or something that went viral. And then they would take the audio and then do like an animation to it. And then the animation may be a contradiction to the audio to make it kind of funny. But then it's like, oh, okay, there you go. It's like the audio dictates how you're going to animate it. So if the audio clip is like, 20 seconds of audio, then I have 20 seconds of audio to do like some type of animation to match it and get it done within that time period.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's almost like the modern day of the flip book, or even when you did those little 2 panel things and you grab your pencil and you kind of rub it back and forth.
Yes.
That's what it almost feels like. They're just knocking that out. And I think we keep overcomplicating things, and myself included. I used to get on my boy Lamont about this, and my boy Chris Cartledge. We're talking about, I would say, you're doing this cool design for this character, and it's nice. It's a nice rig, but you're building it like you have a studio that's going to animate it. You don't. You got you. It's like, it's going to be cool in several months. Meanwhile, you have, and no disrespect to, and I don't even want to call out some of the places. You have these really successful things that are out there. Matter of fact, I'll call out one. Have you ever seen the thing Cyanide and Happiness? and it looks like these little round head dudes, little rectangle bodies, and I don't even think those characters have hands. They're just little sticks.
It's
And I'm going like
almost like stick figures, but they're
yes. Meanwhile, we're going, no, gotta have this masterpiece. It's gonna be Fantasia 2025. And it's like, no, you don't need all that. Just get something out there and just kind of, I don't know. I think that's the one thing we get hung up on how much it needs. I'm like, and I think that's what's also cool about when they start doing these things like the 24-hour challenges or how quickly can you get something knocked out. So.
Yeah, those are good because it forces you to like just focus on getting something done and quick and knock it out. That, like I was saying earlier, those like the videos on like TikTok and like so, and it's some of these younger folks, man, they're getting it. It's they're growing into the medium and they're taking advantage of it by saying, hey, TikTok is here, you can monetize it and get a cool following, and they come up with some unique things that are again, it's simple. It's like when you really look at it and you break it down, it's like, wow. But then sometimes coming up with simple ideas, you go through all this stuff. It's like, no, I don't need all this fat. Trim the fat and just get right to the meat right here. And this is all you need, the bare bones,
Was it years ago? I was blessed and fortunate. There was a Mondrian, I think it was Mondrian, exhibit at the National Gallery of Art in DC. And I, like, you think Mondrian, you think all the little blocks, right? So this exhibit showed his drawings of a tree, this beautiful, almost photorealistic sketch of a tree. And then the next one, he broke it down a little further, then a little further before you like, oh, by the way, here's some blocks. And you're thinking like, yeah, you're like, let's break that all the way down to the simple thing and to see that process. And I think that's what we have to do. And I catch myself sometimes, and I'm not mentioning this just because they're a sponsor. I'm mentioning it because one, I love the program, but it's addictive as hell. And you keep going down the rabbit hole and going, oh, I can add this and this. I'm like, nah, bring it back. Working in harmony, trying to keep it that simple, a simple enough rig that I can go in there and work on it or hand it off to someone else and have them work on it without them having to dig down through a spaghetti junction full of nodes to find out, how do I move the mouth again? So it's like little stuff like that. Hey, man.
Yeah, I think about that stuff, and then I think my main problem is because of how I grew into this industry. It's like, everything was hard. It was, you had to draw everything on paper. Everything it wasn't complicated. It's just, it was time consuming, and you really had to you still do now, but you really had to discipline the artistic side. You really had to know how to flip paper and animate and know how to work things out and draw on model. I mean, you still have to do that now. You still got to do those things, but I think, like you said, like with the whole Toon Boom harmony, and depending on how you use it, if you're using the drawing, frame by frame way, or the puppet route, it's just easier. And then because it's easier, I think possibly some of the younger people who didn't grow up with all that, got to learn all this stuff in order to make an animation.
Right.
I think it's like all that's not in their brain, so then they can focus more on just getting it out. It's like, I'll look at it and I'm still thinking oh, it has to look like Fantasia. It has to look like, it has to, oh man, no, I remember that old Warner Brothers. And again, I think depending on what the project is, bringing that nostalgic way of doing it is cool, but come on. It's for some projects, it could be simple. Like one thing I'm thinking of now, it's like the, it's a cupcake animation that BuzzFeed does. And I think they do it in Flash, but it's super simple, but has a huge following. And some of the little animations some of them are actually funny. Some of them are, it's like some of them you're just like, okay, wow. It's like, but I can see the writer and the animation, it's like they're focusing on making it simple, straight to the point. And like I said, it's cute and funny and has lots of followers and lots of hits.
Oh yes, and funny you should mention that. The person that was the showrunner and the voice of the Good Advice Cupcake.
That's what it was. I
Yeah,
was trying to think of the full name.
Kira Kopetsky. She's on the summit this year.
Awesome.
Yes,
So
and
that's kind of cool.
she's also doing she's a showrunner right now for Chicken Nugget. Again, the same little short type things, and it's hilarious. It is in Flash, but that for me, because I was telling her I literally, because I think I'm editing that. In editing that, I remember recording with it because meeting. Full transparency, I kind of slip into whatever personality when I'm interviewing you guys, but it's like I'm interviewing the people that I want to talk to, or a joke with Mark Simon. I'm asking you these questions. Do I care if anyone else gets anything out of it? No, I'm asking the questions I want to know. It's like, I want to know this, or I want to, this is for me. Now, if y'all get something out of it, cool. But basically the Good Advice Cupcake was heavily influenced me in creating one of my characters, like Very Angry. I was like, this is really cool. And I'm going, I need to make something this simple. And then I did a 30-30-15 building out Barry, and I looked at the final piece and said, this is way too complicated. It looks almost like it's an airbrush drawing. It's supposed to be a little simpler than that. So I had to go back to the drawing board, and simplify it. But yeah, I was stumbling over, I got to go and edit all the, because I was kind of in total fanboy mode of going like, do you know how cool you are? This is awesome. And you do the voice too? That's cool.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But those it's like that's how it's kind of like I'm on both sides. I like doing the like now. I mean, most of my stuff is mainly like the more complicated stuff, but then the simple stuff is cool too. And like you said, that's how you can get possible things done.
Yes.
You don't have to be like, oh yeah, I'm working on this, but I'm not going to have it done until 5 years from now because of all the work that needs. This here, oh yeah, I can have this done within a matter of months, or at least before mid-year, I can have something that's finished and done, and move on to the next one.
Cool. Let me ask you my next question. They should totally remake Blank as a cartoon. What is in that blank, if anything?
Well, a lot of the things that I would put in the blank, they've done some of them. So, but I'm trying to think of something that hasn't been done that I really wanted them to do. I would say, like some of those like sitcoms from the '90s, like Martin. Well, I don't know how Martin will reflect now, but Fresh Prince. I know at one time someone did like a Fresh Prince, some drawings, and it went kind of viral.
Right.
And there were like tons of people that are like, "Oh man!" And this was before the reboot. This is before like they had the reboot on Peacock.
Right.
But like when those drawings were going out, I was like, "Man, I'll watch that." If they kind of did it in his style and contemporize it, that was pretty cool. Man, I don't know. I mean, like I said, a lot of the stuff has already been done, and I'm not like a huge video gamer. Like I have one of my friends is into video games, and he says, he tells me all the time, "Oh yeah, this would make a cool animation," but I'm not into the game to really say what it is cool. But the only thing that comes to mind is like some of the sitcoms that I grew up watching. It's like if they made them contemporized it, and then some of them like they did it more of an adult way of doing it. But like maybe like I said, the Fresh Prince, or oh man, I can't think of any more. And they probably will come after this interview.
I'm going to go on the opposite side, because now you made me think of like old sitcoms. Like I would love to see an animated Three's Company. So like going because I think it would actually work. You could almost make the actual character, like still bring them back, still make it in that time period, or make it like in the 80s or the 90s or something like that. I think it would actually work.
Well, see, my thing is also, and I'll go back, like, because I'm into like superheroes and stuff. I've always wanted to see like and they're doing a live action movie, so it doesn't matter. But I always wanted to see like a. I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan, and I'm always like I've like the one that man with my mentor, a great friend Larry Houston, the one that he was involved with. That was like. And I think they had like Jack Kirby or some of the like Jack Kirby did some of the boards. That one was like on point. And but I've always wanted to like see like Alex Ross has a Fantastic Four book out. Always wanted to see like what would be like a big highly big budget animated Fantastic Four film that was set back then. Like that was set not a contemporary one, but set like during the time the comic was out and all the stuff that they were fighting and take like stories and references from those actual issues, but like a high budget
Right.
movie, you know. Um, but I know they're doing the MCU version and probably gonna have animated stuff based on whatever they do in the MCU. But that was always, and actually when they said they were going to do a Fantastic Four movie, I actually still had that same thing. It's like no, it would have been cool if they had like if they did it in the past. Like the only one movie that we had like that took place in that time was the first Captain America one. But to like go back then and just do it like and have it look like it came right out of a Kirby comic.
I'm liking that. Now, some of this we've actually been talking about, for the most part, it's been the theme of everything we've mentioned. But let me ask you this anyway. Given the advantages or the advances and the availability of software and technology, as well as the growing number of streaming platforms, there has never been a better time in the history of animation for 2D animators to put out their own products or their own projects than there is right now. True or false, and why?
Most 100% true. 100% true. Just because anyway, I talked about it. It's like all the stuff just to get copies, just to get a portfolio done, just to like I said, when I was I was blessed and lucky enough to get a job in the commercial animation industry when I got out of college. I worked on from Michigan, so I worked on car commercials, and I had found out I didn't know about this at the time, but Michigan had a huge industrial commercial industry. So like pretty much all the car commercials that you saw on TV were like done in Michigan, and they had like all these great animation houses and production studios, and because I was working there. Yeah, young got to, I'm working on car commercials, but I'm like, man, I want to do like some, some just cartoons, not
Right.
anything to sell a product. And I asked, I went around and said, well, how long, how much does it cost to like use this equipment? Because they had like the cameras and they
Right.
had everything, because I was working there on the commercials, so I had access to all the stuff to make an animated project. And so I asked them, well, how much does this stuff cost and all this thing? And that's when I found out about the edit suite. That's just editing. Once you have all your images done, the edit suite was like $500 an hour.
Wow.
The camera, I think to use the camera room at some places, it was a discount to me. It's like, oh, yeah, you get it possibly for like $200 an hour. And, and it was like, man, it costs so much just to get like something simple done. And my mind just kind of was like, oh man, well, I just have to save money or make connections and, blah, blah, this. But, that's the thing. It's like, back then, and I'm even talking, that was when video, things were being shot on video. We had like it was being shot on a big beta tape. And then I had to transfer it to VHS so I could play it and send it, show it to people. But you talk about film developing, 16 millimeter film and all that stuff. That's the generation before me. That's how they got their movies done.
Right.
I just watched a documentary on Will Vinton, the claymation guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a documentary out that talks about his thing. But they talk about like some of the their films that they were trying to get their name out there and get in the industry, and how, and they shot like on 16 millimeter film, and they had to get all these copies and pay all this money. It's like, that's how they got into like the festivals and started winning, awards and things. But I thought about just all the stuff that they had to do just to get their stuff out. They made the film, shot it on 60mm cameras, and then in order to get it to all the film festivals, they had to literally put them on all reels and buy it. It's like all that stuff costs money when you're young. When you're older, you save up, possibly you have a budget, but straight out of college and whatever, and they were able to do that stuff. But now it's so like, oh, I can do this tonight on my computer and upload it to YouTube. I don't even have to leave my house. I don't have to pay any money. The only thing it costs me is time and my imagination. That's it. As long as you have the software and you know how to use it, and everything else is it's just uploading and and sending links.
I was still thinking back to the whole thing of like back in my day thing. I was teaching what was that? Matter of fact, yeah, wait a minute. I was teaching college, and so when I was teaching college, the iPhone hadn't come out yet. So teaching this kid animation, and he was a drummer, but he wanted to he was trying to animate the character. I said, go check out one of the cameras, and film yourself, shoot, as reference footage, And I'm thinking back on that now, that, yeah, he would have had to go to the video department, make sure one was available, get some tape, and set up the tripod. And meanwhile, dude, can you film me real quick? I'm like, just the idea of that, or where, what's his name? Jerry Fuchs. We kept talking online, like on LinkedIn and stuff. And so we both were in Atlanta and said, cool, let's go we went and grabbed lunch at this diner. And at the time, Jerry still had a flip phone. And I think I had just got my first little, phone, not non-flip phone. And he was like, well, yeah, would you have another stuff? And so I said, yeah, give me a second. And I pulled up my portfolio to show him on the phone. And he said, and I remember him posting about it later. Yeah, I just got convinced I need to go ahead and get one of these phones. He said, oh, let me show you my website. Here you go. It's like, so as opposed to the old days, we'd have the little slide viewers. Yes. You got to put a battery in there. Like, yeah, take a look at this.
Slide viewers, and then I remember like when I first moved out here, I didn't have it. It's like, oh man, I need to get one, but people had the iPads. Yeah. But I remember I went to a convention, and everyone had an iPad. I had it, still had like the paper copier, Xerox. Right. Well, actually, no, it wasn't Xerox. It was like out of my home printer that I put in it was still a physical portfolio that you had to flip through. And I said, oh man, well, next time I come, I have to get one of those iPads, because that way, and then I start seeing like like you said, you show them on the digital platforms, everything is right. The colors, the printer, you don't know 100% if the printer is going to get the colors right, or the lines are going to be janky or fuzzy. But, you show them on those tablets and phones, the color is great. Everything is pretty much the way that you want it to look.
Definitely. Well, sir, this has been real as always. And it's like, I love talking to you and actually almost all the panelists, because it reminds me, like, it's like when you're talking to a relative, like, I need to call you more often. It's like, so definitely, you all are giving me some fire to do the whole podcast, and even hell, podcasting. I think I did a podcast right when podcasts first came out, and now it's way easier than what it was, and I don't have to go in and write my own code out, and yeah. It's like,
well, then it's like if we're doing the 60-60-15,
30-30-15.
I mean,
I got it. That's cool.
30-30-15. It's like those can be like accountability podcast.
Yes.
Like, okay, so what's going on for this week?
Yes. Okay. Okay. Damn it. Now I got 3 different podcasts. That's like,
Man, I should have lift it up there.
the Tony Teach podcast. We got to have the Summit podcast, and we got to have the 30-30-15 podcast, and or the 30-30-15 podcast is somewhere buried in there and says, and by the way, on this date, I'm like, we're at hour, which by the way, I'll tell you this, 30-30-15 for a year. If you do the minimum, the bare minimum for a year, it's 180 hours. So there you go.
It's yeah, that's it. Keep it simple. It's like, we had the acronym in college, which sometimes I deviate from it, but it's like the KISS, keep it simple, stupid. It's like, keep it simple. Don't complicate. But when you break it down like that, that's how you can fit it in. So no, I can't work a full day, but I can do at least 30 minutes.
Right. It's like, can I at least do this? And some people are like, well, I can't even set up my stuff. Like, then set it up on day one. What are you doing on day two? So either that, or what is it? Right before bed, like that, got everything set up so you can just like pop right down and get it going.
Yeah, and I'll say this, and I know we're running out, but I had a friend. I have a friend named Walter Santucci, and we work together on many projects and animations, and he does. He teaches and does all this stuff, but he always has like short films. He does like the animated film festivals.
Right.
And like, man, how are you?
Yes.
How are you able to, like, we worked on this project together, but yet you still, it's like he's still able to get his film stuff done. And what he says is like, he similar to what you're saying with the 30-30-15, except he makes it even simpler. He's like, I just said every day I'm gonna do something on my short. Yeah, he's like even if it's just I drew one storyboard panel that day. That's it. Yeah, he's like that's how he gets it done. It's like, he's like, I'll write it out. Maybe it may take me a week to write it out. It's like I'll do one paragraph a day, and that's it. If I have time, I'll do more. And then when he's storyboarding, he's like, hey man, just think of it this way: if you do one storyboard a day, it's like, and he's kind of did some same things. Like, we do one storyboard a day for a month. That's 30 storyboards, and all his animations are short. They're like under 5 minutes, possibly, or the animated short, so they're not crazy long. And he's like, just think of it that way. It's like, as long as you do something. If you had an idea, it's like, oh, well, instead of it being on a Monday, I want it to be on a Friday. And you wrote that down, and that's all you got done. At least you did something. I'm like, okay.
All right. It's been real, sir, as always.
Thanks again.
Yeah, we gotta.
I'm always happy and excited to do these, and it's like you were saying. It's like we're just having a conversation that's being filmed.
Yes.
It's not like, oh man, we're on a summit panel. It's like, oh no, you're just getting.
We're just talking about stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I still got I was talking to somebody. I still have almost a 2-hour conversation I had with Ollie Putland. The first time I tried to interview him, and I 2 hours in, I didn't ask you any questions. And we talked about everything, and most of it it's like, I still haven't published that. We need to maybe put that in our own podcast, but it's like, but yeah, man, we got to do some stuff like that. And damn, that thing is like doing that little bit every day. That's, as you said, it's even more simple than a 30-30-15. I'm gonna.
30-30-15 might take off. That could be like how they do like the various challenges.
Yes.
Like hashtag 30-30-15, and people and everyone like posted either their work in progress or the finished pieces and explain, it's 30-30-15. This is what I got done within the time period. Almost like how Titmouse had like I think it's a 5-second day.
Yes.
Where they do their 5-second animations, and they just give the animators like, hey, whatever you come up with, let's do something, get it done.
Okay. All right. Well, this has been Tony Ross for the 2D Animation Virtual Summit, hanging out with Layron DeJarnette. And again, say bye.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Always great doing this thing. So looking forward to the next one.
Coolness. Have a good one.
You too. See ya.
Hey, Remember that thing that you're going to do, learn, or try if you could ever find the time? Guess what? Even on your busiest day, you have 30 minutes somewhere to spare. You know what else? 30 minutes a day for 30 days is 15 hours. What project could you do, start, or finish in 15 hours? We challenge you to take 30 minutes a day for the next 30 days and find out. 30-30-15. Changing your life 30 minutes at a time. That was a nice, chill interview with Layron. Yeah, Layron is awesome. So yeah, I think we are going to probably officially do a 30-30-15. If anyone's interested, I'll probably write up something about it today, but let's say November 1st-ish. We'll start at 30-30-15. Let's figure out something you want to start. Could you do start or finish in 30 days? Meanwhile, I got one last little thing to do and then we'll sign off. I'm going to be sending out emails again to any of our winners, but I need to find... Where's my text? What color is that? Why is that color? I don't know. Alrighty. La 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 la. So I'm just doing our little drawings here. Figure out who's winning what. Thanks, Layron, for the flashback of animation through the years. So much more cost effective these days. Yeah, it is. Alright, where is my screen? Alrighty. I need... Where are you? Ah, there we go. Thank you. So far in our drawings, we still got a lot more. I think tomorrow's our last day, so we've got a lot to give away. So Ronnie Delaney, you have won an annual license for Storyboard Pro. Darren Crawford, you've earned an annual license to Harmony Premium. Tim Animator, I think that's how it's breaking down your thing. You've actually won a Wacom Intuos Pro. That's it's not the large one. It is a small one. I forgot to write that in there, but it's a Wacom Intuos. And when we send you out emails, be sure to what's the word I'm looking for? Oh yeah, be sure to send us your what is that thing called? Oh yeah, name and address and all that other fun stuff. So you'll have about 24 or 48 hours to actually respond, so we can actually get that information sent out to you, because I've got to send the info to both Toon Boom or Wacom, depending on who it is. And we'll be giving away a lot more tomorrow. Meanwhile, yeah, we'll also be announcing I've got some classes coming up in November that are directly from Tony Teach. So there'll be a class for people working with Harmony Essentials and Advanced, and there's also going to be a class for Harmony Premium. These will be weekend classes, like a 2-day class. It'll be 3 hours on a Saturday, 3 hours on a Sunday, and we'll go from there. So even if you're a complete beginner, trust me, I've got the reputation. I once taught someone After Effects, and they only knew Microsoft Word before, so please pardon my vernacular when I say, I got you. Anyway, I'm rambling. This has been Tony Ross for the 2D Animation Virtual Summit, signing off, and I'll see y'all in the morning.